Hey, what's up everyone? Nekkra here, and we're back with another draft league. I am competing in the Shackle King Premier League, and I'm so excited to be a part of this alongside so many other incredible competitors. This is going to be a hybrid season featuring some of the best singles and best doubles competitors, and I'm really grateful to have had an invitation to this, and I hope you guys are just as excited to be able to watch out some of these battles. For this draft league, we got a chance to build out a team using 110 points with all of the Pokemon that are legal in the season ranked from 20 points to 1 point. And so we drafted our teams. We were able to come up with about 9 to 10 Pokemon apiece, and then every single week we are going to be fighting off against a different competitor to see if we can make it to the end with a good enough win-loss record in order to make it into the playoffs. My team I'm so excited about because we are the Shoutcasting Sylveons. Yes, we are making a comeback, and for this particular season I have a new front office with Ethan Matos and Stefan Mott, two of which are some incredible VGC players, and I'm very excited to have them alongside of me to make sure that my draft league and my plans can go smoothly. This week, for our very first week of the SPL, we are going to be facing off against Nexus, one of the absolute best players in singles draft leagues, and I'm so nervous and also very excited for this opportunity because I feel like this will be such a good test of strength to see whether or not our draft game plan was right and if we can get the prep done to be able to get the dub this week to start off our season strong. Taking a look at Nexus's draft plan, it's definitely one that I think has a pretty clearly defined game plan to play around, but also one that I feel like has a lot of very heavy hitting threats that I have to be nervous about. The first and foremost is Iron Hands. That's the thing that jumps out at me, not even just as the Pokemon that has the highest point total, as it was one of the most expensive that Nexus actually drafted onto his team, but it also has some of the most range and also just some of the best stats when it comes down to the Pokemon that he ended up building out the rest of the team with. Iron Hands has incredible attack, it's very tanky, and it gets access to a huge range of moves. You can go for something like a belly drum set, you could put an Assault Vest on it, you can put a booster energy on it if you wanted to increase his stat, and there's a lot of other things that you can do. We've even seen a couple of sets in doubles that are really well built around just Iron Hands having Life Orb or something crazy like that. Just allows you to be able to go for some of those status moves like Belly Drum instead of having to rely on just the Assault Vest and being as beefy as possible. Now, the other thing that sticks out to me is that the Toronto Tyrants also has a very clear Sun mode. You've got Torkoal, Hisuian Lilligant, and Charizard. Walking Wake would also fit onto this category because not only does it have that photosynthesis ability to make sure that it's also getting some type of stat boost while in the sun, it also has its signature move Hydro Steam, which is going to be able to do really good damage whether it's in rain, sun, normally. Walking Wake could just be a total beast. There's also some pretty well-defined Trick Room lines that are available on this team. So taking a look at Porygon 2, I know Torkoal can fit into this category. Iron Hands is also not one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, so it also has an ability to play here, and so that's something else that I'm keeping an eye out for. The rest of the team is rounded out by Malamar, Bruxish, and Mischievous. I don't think any of these Pokemon have a particularly good chance of coming to this week. I think just looking at the Pokemon that I have on my team and that Nexus might be planning around, I think that Malamar, Bruxish, and Mischievous have too specific of a role that they're trying to fill that takes away from something else being able to be brought to the team that might suit Nexus's game plan a little bit better. So main key threats for me when thinking about team building for this week is the Iron Hands, the Sun mode from the Torkoal, the Hisuian Lilligant, the Walking Wake, and the Charizard, as well as the Trick Room option with the Porygon 2, Torkoal, and Iron Hands. With all that being said, let's take a look at my team and what I decided to build around for this week. The Shoutcasting Sylveons has Cornerstone Ogerpon, Volcarona, Suicune, Klefki, Hisuian Goodra, Sarud, Pawmot, Lapras, Mismagius, and Slitherwing. I'm so excited about this team. First off, I feel like we did a great job of being able to build up a draft plan that would be able to help me succeed in so many different weeks of the format. We focused on making sure that we got a lot of value picks, so getting Pokemon that were maybe put at a price point that was lower than what we think the actual value of the Pokemon is, and make sure we put and build a lot of pieces out around that are very flexible and give us a lot of options to be able to play with moving forward. For this week, we're focusing on just a couple of Pokemon to be able to round out the team. So the 6 we decided on are Cornerstone Ogerpon, Volcarona, Klefki, Hisuian Gudra, Zarude, and Pawmot. The 2 key focuses here are going to be the Hisuian Gudra as well as the Volcarona. Both of these Pokemon which have very good matchups into either the Iron Hands or the Walking Wake or Charizard. Hisuian Gudra this week is going to have an Assault Vest as well as the Sap Sipper ability, so that way we can stick Zarude on the team to go for something like Jungle Healing or Petal Blizzard, and that Hisuian Gudra can stay around for a very, very long time. Also makes some of the other Pokemon on Nexus's team a little bit harder to use. I'm looking specifically at Hisuian Lilligant that would love to be able to run something like a Grass type move that would be able to get redirected and give Hisuian Gudra just a little bit more of that healing. The other key focus here on Volcarona is going to be just making sure that Volcarona can get enough boosts that it can consistently be able to deal out damage trades. It's got the Flame Body ability, so any sort of contact move that's a physical attack is going to be able to have a small chance to burn. Looking at you, Iron Hands and Hisuian Lilligant. But we also have the option to go for coaching, either onto the Hisuian Gudra or the Volcarona, thanks to Pawmot, our little buddy. And we also have Quiver Dance, so we're going to be able to get some boosts to our special defense as well as to our special attack and speed, and hopefully that's going to make Volcarona bulky enough and strong enough to make sure that those damage trades are really, really valuable. There's also some great support coming in from the Klefki. Now, not only does Klefki have the Prankster ability, which is going to give priority to its status moves, so we get a chance to use Light Screen and Reflect without too much trouble, but we also have access to Rain Dance, and Rain Dance is going to be so nice to be able to turn off all of that pesky weather that Nexus might want to set up with something like the Torkoal. There's otherwise not really, if any, ways I think that Nexus can manually set back up the weather, so it forces Torkoal to have to switch in and out to make sure that the sun is actually in Nexus's favor and control. So I like Klefki here just to make sure that screens are also a very viable option on top of the different boosts we can get from coaching and otherwise, to make sure that Hisuian Gudra and Volcarona can stay around for a very long time. As Zarude, I already mentioned the fact that it does have Jungle Healing, which is going to be good for a partner. It's basically just Lunar Blessing, but Zarude. And we also have access to Petal Blizzard, which is going to do spread damage. We're giving Zarude a Grass Terra just if we're ever in the situation where going for the Grass Terra would be good, then we can always go for the Grass Terra and actually make sure we're getting some valuable knockouts onto the remaining Pokemon. Pawmot is not only there to be able to go for coaching, it also has access to Nuzzle, so it can give us a bit of speed control, as well as making sure that we can play into some of the Hex games if we need to. I really hope it doesn't come to that. But having a potential for a full paralysis may just be a make or break in a deciding game to see if we can get a W or bring us into a game number 3. Last but not least on the team, we've got Cornerstone Ogerpon. And Cornerstone Ogerpon is so much fun. Not only is it the first pick that I made in my draft, but it provides a lot of value and a lot of the offensive options that it has access to, as well as the supportive options. This week for Ogerpon, we are going to be putting on Play Rough, Ivy Cudgel, Horn Leech, and just Spiky Shield. A fairly standard set outside of something like the Play Rough. The Play Rough is really great to be able to have fairy type damage into something like the Walking Wake. It also does a really great job of having super effective damage into something like the Lilligant. The only thing about the Ogerpon that worries me is it can be frail, and so even though I have a sturdy ability or a Focus Sash built into the Pokemon, I'm a little worried about it having to stick around to take too many hits. It doesn't have Follow Me, so it's not like it's going to be providing that support that way, which is a little risky, just knowing that there is a Hisuian Lilligant that's running around, but I'm more thinking that Nexus will lean into a little bit more of like Charizard, Walking Wake, something that really utilizes the offensive capabilities of the sun, rather than something that's going to be a bit more supportive, knowing that I have things like the Ogerpon is a grass type, Zarude is a grass type, Volcarona is a bug type, and all this other stuff that I think makes using Sleep Powder just a little bit harder. Hopefully that's going to be enough of a deterrent, because definitely playing really cold games is not the easiest to have to navigate in terms of your mental, but it's going to be fine, I think. But yeah, that's the 6 for the week, and I'm really excited to see now if we can go ahead and get the W. Okay, jumping into our very first game versus the Toronto Tyrants. We have the Torkoal Lilligant, sort of the expected combination of Pokemon we thought we would see on this team, plus the Porygon 2 and the Iron Hands for a Trick Room mode, alongside that Torkoal, as well as this Clefable and the Walking Wake. So there's a very clear Sun mode that Nexus could go for, with just being able to put up the Torkoal, having something like Hydro Steam on the Walking Wake. And of course, the Clefable is a little bit annoying. It does have access to things like Follow Me, but I am really worried about either hard committing into a Sun mode or hard committing into a Trick Room mode. I think against this, though, and I take a look at what I have available to me, I love the option of being able to just go for something like Klefki Volcarona. I'm able to set up a screen really early, and the Volcarona has pretty good defenses into just about anything. The Terra Dragon Iron Hands is a little scary, but that's also why we have Terra Dragon Terra Blast. And then outside of that, I think I'm just going to go for a pretty normal kind of damage here and see if this might be able to get the job done. My biggest worry right now is that the Walking Wake is really fast. The only thing that I have on my team that can actually outrun it is going to be my Ogerpon. However, it could be Choice Scarfed, so that would most certainly make it the fastest thing. And if there is going to be Chlorophyll on that Lilligant and that hits the field when the sun is available, then that is also going to be able to outrun my team. But it's going to be the Hisuian Lilligant alongside the Torkoal. And when I take a look at both of these Pokemon, just for everybody's context, I only know the Terras of both of these Pokemon. I don't actually know the movesets or their items. And so I feel like if you're going to be leading the Lilligant alongside the Torkoal, I assume that the Lilligant is going to have Chlorophyll. It's going to be really fast. And I think that just being able to take a look at the Torkoal, you have something like the Weather Ball, Sleep Powder, all of that good stuff. So my Volcarona, just being a bug type, is going to be pretty easy to kind of deal with any of this stuff. I think being able to go for something like Rain Dance here is going to feel really nice. Obviously, that would make it like a Terra, like a Weather Ball. But I kind of want to make sure that maybe I'm not going to be taking too much damage. I kind of just want to Rain Dance Protect, though, and sort of see where things go. I'm a little worried about Weather Ball, because what if you Terra Water Weather Ball into like a Volcarona or something like that? And I obviously don't want that to happen. I am revealing that I have Rain Dance on this, but we do have Sleep Powder, and I did just use the Protect on my Volcarona. The other thing that he doesn't know is that I actually do have safety goggles on this Volcarona, so it's not like Sleep Powder would actually affect it anyway, but it's really nice that I get the avoid on the Heat Wave, and it feels really good to make sure that I have something like that. Now, I'm a little nervous because obviously the Lilligant here can definitely still go for something like High Jump Kick. I would worry a little bit about a fighting move. Good thing that Bug does resist that. But even taking a look at Torkoal, I'm still nervous about something like, I don't know. He doesn't know that I have the safety goggles yet, so maybe I'll just leave it. I'll go for something like, ooh, there's the Iron Hands. Oh my god, is it Marco Silva's Iron Hands? Wait, that's crazy. Okay, it's booster energy, it's going to get a Quirk Drive boost, and it's going to be an attack boost. Very important information here. I get the light screen up, obviously that doesn't really matter in front of either of these Pokemon, but the Sleep Powder does connect into the Klefki instead. A little worrisome. I wish I would have been able to get the Reflect up first, but it's, I don't think, a horrible thing that the Klefki is here and we don't necessarily know what's gonna happen with this Iron Hands. Iron Hands gets the attack boost. I would obviously love to be able to go for something like the Reflect, but at least I know it isn't Assault Vest, and that's actually a super, super, super huge deal. It's tough for me to want to pull the trigger on something like this Terra Dragon, Terra Blast though. So I kind of wonder if it would be better for me to just kind of go for Protect and really hope that my Clef Key wakes up. It gives me an opportunity to scout out what this Iron Hands is going to do as well, because if it has the booster energy, then I can also expect that it might be able to have something like Fake Out, or it could also have Belly Drum. Belly Drum was one of the moves that I was a little bit worried about for that. But it is going to just be the Fake Out here. Fake Out obviously not working in this time, but Sleep Powder again. Looks like Nexus is really committed into getting this Sleep Powder. So I can't wait for him to maybe not find out that I have safety goggles on this thing. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna set up the Reflect because this is really important for my Volcarona to make sure that it can actually stay alive. And I'm a little greedy, but I kind of feel like I want another Quiver Dance. So we'll go for it. Plus, this is important for me to actually find out what this Iron Hands actually has. But it does have Fake Out, so that's good for me to know. Speed Booster, always very important if the Torkoal comes back out. But that's Close Combat on the Lilligant. So, Sleep Powder, Close Combat. Whoa! It has a Rock Slide? Okay, that's definitely not what I wanted to see. That makes basically my whole game plan really bad. Okay, I should have Terra'd. I don't know why I didn't Terra, but I should have Terra'd, and that's really bad. I kind of wonder if I even want to actually reveal any other information here. I feel like that's not very good. So I can like, oh, that's actually really bad. I feel like I don't like that. I actually don't know if I have another way to get through this game now. Knowing that this Iron Hands as Rock Slide is very, very important. And I don't think I should have let myself get one shot like that. Okay, well, now let's think about what to do for game number 2, because I feel like I got by a move that I absolutely wasn't expecting, and I'm giving up so much information on my Clef Key. The fact that it does have the screens is good, but like Palmada is also revealing that it can do a lot of really good damage with close combat, and like I don't know. I feel like I should have... I wonder if Klefki can clutch this with... I was gonna say Dazzling Gleam, but I can't test it now. That's important, though. It actually has Thunder Punch out of all of these options. So if it does have Thunder Punch, then I think that's actually really good for me to go for, like, for the dragon stuff. But... it really stinks because I do think that overall this game might be over. I'm not sure. I feel like Petal Blizzard's gonna do absolutely nothing. And I don't think Jungle Healing is gonna do anything either. I kind of wonder... Maybe I can at least get some information by knocking something off. Maybe I can get some info on the Lilligant item, but I actually think that I'm just gonna let this Lilligant take like all 4. I get to let it take all 4 KOs. That's crazy. Okay, it has Focus Sash. That's kind of something that I would have expected. So I gotta make sure that I have that down. Lilligant has the Focus Sash. Has Close Combat, and it has Sleep Powder. I'm learning all of the moves, though, on this Iron Hands, and it does have Brick Break. So it has a way to actually break the screens, and that's super, super, super good to know. I did reveal that I have, I kind of don't want to reveal, actually, that I have anything else. But maybe if I go for Petal Blizzard here, I get a chance to see how much damage this actually does, and it like doesn't really do very much. But if I Terra there, I actually do a pretty good amount of damage. So that might be interesting for me to know. Obviously, that was for 2 targets instead of 3, but I just got swept by an Iron Hands. Oh my goodness. Okay. So back to the drawing board. I feel like I probably could have played that a little better. So that is definitely something that I need to consider. Not having a secondary option for attacks made that really, really, really rough. I think if I hadn't brought the Palm Mod, or if I even thought about maybe bringing the Ogre Pawn, or maybe even the Gudra, I think things would have been a little bit better. But when I think about actually maybe where I go from here, it's really a tough call. Because the Iron Hands was such an integral part of the team, and so was going for something like the Sleep Powder. I wonder what happens if I just go for damage immediately. I think the Volcarona could still be, like, I think it could still be useful, and maybe I Terra just to have that as an option and I don't just get one shot. But I also think that Gudra actually has quite a bit of defenses to something like this. My Gudra is Terra Ghost, so at least it's not going to be able to get hit by something like the Brick Break. But the Brick Break is a problem because it means I don't have screens. But I think it would be better if I go for maybe the coaching right away, and then I double confirm that I actually have something that's really, really good in the back. I think I'm okay with the Torkoal Lilligant lead if it is actually going to be something like Palmat Volcarona. I think that's absolutely fine. I also don't necessarily need the Quiver Dances because the special defense wasn't giving me anything against that lead. If they do end up switching to the Walking Wake, I don't like that a lot, but I do think that maybe this might be a little bit better, and I just leave the Clef Key at home because the Brick Break was actually super, 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 super important. I'm going to bring the Zarude anyway because Petal Blizzard is still going to do spread damage. If I get into a situation where I need to go for Terra, I think that getting the Terra for the extra little bit of boost onto the grass type damage is going to be good. But it is going to be the Lilligant Torkoal lead again for this game. And this time around, I'm not going to get got by it. I do still have the safety goggles, so it's not like they can actually put me to sleep, so that Lilligant is a little bit less important, but I am gonna go for coaching here. I do think that I need to maybe go for one Quiver Dance just to be able to deal with this Torkoal, but I am so concerned about something like an Eruption, so maybe I actually just go for Terra Blast right away. Because the defense is gonna be good, but I feel like the Torkoal, if it went for Heat Wave, didn't it? Oh no. Yeah, I think I'm actually just going to just do like, I feel like doing too much setup is a bad thing. So maybe I'll just go for coaching and then I'll try to do some. Ooh, we actually see a switch immediately. It's actually going to be over to the Iron Hands. So I don't have to worry about any sort of Torkoal damage now. I do need to worry a little bit about being able to actually get this coaching off before the Lilligant attacks me. But it's very possible that we see this Lilligant actually use the Sleep Powder into the Volcarona instead. I do see a Terra. It's going to be Terra Ghost onto the Lilligant. We knew this was a possibility just based on this being an open Terra format. But to see it means that Nexus might be a little bit nervous about something like a fake out, does go for the sleep powder, and unfortunately my Palma gets put to sleep. So that's not super, super great. But I still have an option to be able to go for, I was gonna say the damage, but the fact that it's a ghost type actually works really against me. And it's not good that that happened. I would really like to be able to actually start maybe... It's so bad. Like, I need the coaching to actually go through the protect here, but I do think I need to protect because I'm absolutely expecting that this Iron Hands is going to try to go for the fake out. It has an attack boost in the sun. It can still go for Rock Slide. It's going to be able to do damage to both of my Pokemon, but I do have a Focus Sash on the Palmot. As long as the Lilligant doesn't actually go for a Sleep Powder, or I guess I don't get double targeted, because the fake out would break the sash, and then the Lilligant could just follow that up with damage. But I kind of need to bank on the fact that Nexus is going to think that my Volcarona is a bigger threat. So the Sleep Powder does try to attack into the Volcarona here. Doesn't actually find the target, but Palma actually does get the wake up. That's important. A turn 1 wake up is so big because I get to go for coaching. I get the defense boost. The attack boost doesn't actually matter for me, but that is such a big deal to have. And now I can make sure that I get a little bit more defense to my actual Volcarona. So it's still possible that this Lilligant can actually put me back to sleep, but I don't really care about that. The coaching boosts are permanent, and now I actually have the opportunity here to just go for a Terra Blast. I want to make sure that I'm doing big damage into the Iron Hands. This Lilligant is obviously a very big problem, but I still feel like it's not really focusing too much on the offensive output. And if it does go for an attack into the Volcarona, and if the Iron Hands does, if it's a contact move, then there is the opportunity for my Volcarona to get a burn, and that would be such a big deal. The close combat does finish off the Palmot, which is a little bit frustrating. I would have loved to be able to have one more turn with the Palmot available, but I think now is the perfect opportunity for me to just start trying to pump out damage. Having a +1 defense boost is really nice, and that does an okay amount of damage. I think I would have liked there to be just a little bit more, and the Rock Slide still hurts, so I'm not really out of the woods yet. Sleep Powder is good though. Sleep Powder is good because we are a little bit nervous, but we do have our Goodra here, and I think just being able to go for Goodra is going to be a really nice thing. Iron Hands doesn't have a safe switch here. We know that there's a Torkoal in the back alongside something like a P2. Doesn't want to take too much damage there. But I think maybe just going for like Giga Drain. I just need to kind of deal with this Lilligant, as well as I need to start dealing damage to the... Yeah. We'll figure it out. I'm not really seeing as much help from the attack as I would have liked to on the Terra Blast, and also losing the Goodra there doesn't feel good. I think if I were able to go for something like the Terra Ghost, it would have been a little bit better. But I'm so worried, and I feel like I kind of just have to put all my eggs into the Volcarona basket. Brick Break is still doing a lot there. That's definitely not great. I don't know if I like my chances of actually being able to win without the option of having just like an extra damaging option. Like, that would have been really nice, but I think I just have to keep going for Giga Drains here and hope that I can actually just do enough damage to get over the line. The problem with Zarude being a dark type is that I have two fighting attackers on the other side, and my Zarude's not actually all that fast. So I think I actually just kind of got gamed on. I'm not really sure I see a way through this game that's not just hoping that Volcarona can do its best. Maybe I should have just protected the Zarude and actually taken out... Okay, now Nexus knows that I actually don't have any any options for sleep there. So that's actually really important information to give away. But that was the perfect opening. I was thinking if Nexus actually goes for a close combat into the Zarude, I just totally lose. Giga Drain is still not doing as much damage as I would like, and this Iron Hands can still go for Brick Break, which is not optimal. So I think I still lose the... Ooh, I don't actually lose the Zarude, but that's crazy. Sunlight is gone. That would have been nice to have happened while the Lilligant was still on the field, and the Torkoal could still come back in and actually just reset the sun and all of that kind of stuff. So not necessarily my favorite thing, but where there's a will, there's a way. I'm really hoping right now that I can still actually get some good damage down into the Iron Hands, but it just feels like I'm not really doing enough. Terra Blast is nice, but I feel like Giga Drain is just good to have for the extra little bit of healing. I'm just constantly worried that I'm never going to actually do enough damage. But I know that the Iron Hands can't protect. That's the thing that I feel like I should just be continuously going after. Oh, man. Hopefully the knockoff is going to get rid of something like a charcoal. Oh, it's a covert cloak. Okay. So the problem with the Torkoal is it can still go for Heat Wave, and it can still actually hit both. So Iron Hands can go for the Brick Break here, but maybe I get the burn? It doesn't. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Zarude gets knocked out here. And so that's very unfortunate. And the burn onto the Volcarona doesn't actually matter for any of its damage output, but it does mean that my Volcarona isn't actually going to be super healthy for the rest of this game. So I think I could genuinely still go for attacks onto the Iron Hands, but I feel like even if I go for Giga Drain here, I don't actually get enough back. I don't know. It feels like the only thing that I can actually do at this point, because I'm hoping that the damage that I do to the Iron Hands heals me enough that I don't just get taken out by a double attack. And there's still a possibility that the Iron Hands actually gets burned in the process. It's so low. Maybe a crit even would have also gotten me there. But I don't think I'm getting enough healing to actually handle this. So even though we see the Brick Break, like I do just get knocked out at the end of this turn. So unfortunately, not quite enough there. And that last Heat Wave is going to do it. So Volcarona strategy may not have worked out this time. But GG's to Nexus. Unfortunately, I'm going to get 2-0'd. But it's okay. It happens. Okay, everyone. Week 1, not our week. Fluke. It's okay. We all get 1, and we're gonna pretend like this week didn't happen, because wow. Iron Hands was a lot scarier than I thought it was going to be. I really didn't put enough respect on that Pokemon, and I also failed to remember or realize that it got Rock Slide. Hello? My face when I saw that Rock Slide hit the Volcarona and then it dropped, like, I could not believe that I put all of my eggs into that Volcarona basket. The Volcarona basket went like, actually, eggs are expensive, and so I'm just not gonna function. Really unfortunate stuff there, but major credit to Nexus. The team building was so on point. I also didn't think that the Lilligant was going to be as much of a problem as it was. And I think for me, looking back on how game 1 and 2 went, I think I should have thought a little bit more about bringing Ogerpon. I was so nervous about how the Ogerpon was actually going to stand up to the fact that there was Brick Break and Fake Out and Close Combat and I don't know what on that Torkoal, but Torkoal is a monster when it comes to defense. Either way, it was going to be really difficult to take down the Torkoal or the Iron Hands. And I think the way that I set up the team, I wasn't ever going to push through with enough damage as I would have hoped. Even taking a look at the Hisui and Gudra, if I had gone for Ghost Terra, there were a lot of ways around that. Iron Hands with an attack boost just does... It does numbers. Even if Hisui and Gudra has a coaching boost, its real power lies in its special defensive capabilities. And the fact that we slapped an assault vest on it, I was really hoping that the big keys for offense from Nexus would have been from the Walking Wake or the Charizard. I think literally anything else other than Iron Hands. And the way that Nexus played around that Lilligant as well, just going for those sleep powders next to whatever was attempting to set up, whether it was the Volcarona or the Gudra or whatever it was. Major credit. I'm super stoked to see what the rest of this Draft League is going to bring. Unfortunately, that is going to mean that we are 0-1 in our standings so far, but we still have 7 more weeks left to play. So GG's again to Nexus, and we'll see what week 2 of SPL brings us.